Hello, everybody. Welcome to College Football Picks for the week of September 22nd, 2012. Before we get into our picks and recap how I did last week and how the coin did last week as well, we're going to start a new segment at the beginning of all these pick shows called My Team of the Week and My Disgrace of the Week. Let's go ahead and begin Team of the Week for the week ending September 15th. The nominees are the Alabama Crimson Tide. They once again extremely impressive as they win 52-0 over Arkansas. It doesn't matter how many players Bama lost from the year before. They lost 12 starters total, and they still know how to reload, and they still know how to dominate on both sides of the ball. And another nominee, this one goes to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, now 3-0. Playing the toughest schedule in all of college football. They not only manhandled Michigan State for the second straight year, but they hold the Spartans to no touchdowns and a mere 3 points. People around South Bend are right now talking about the Fighting Irish being all the way back. Of course, only time's going to tell that. But so far, so good for Brian Kelly and the crew from South Bend. My team of the week, though, I'm going to give it to the Stanford Cardinal. You know, Stanford a few years ago, they weren't very relevant in college football, but thanks to Jim Harbaugh, that team began to win ball games, and they were a physical squad. Well, they're still physical even now under second-year head coach David Shaw, and we saw that last Saturday in front of a nationally televised audience against the second-ranked team of the country, USC. Stanford, for the fourth straight year, defeat USC, and they did it by just out-muscling the Trojans. And we've seen some good things so far from their new QB, Josh Nunez, taking over for Andrew Luck, who's now in the NFL. And Stephon Taylor, he's one heck of a running back. What impresses me the most about Stanford, though, is the fact that their offensive line just knows how to blow the defenders right off the line of scrimmage. And the defense is pretty physical as well. What you had to love the most about that USC-Stanford game was when Stanford was leading by 7 points in the final minutes and USC was driving, how Stanford went after Matt Barkley. They just didn't sit back in a prevent defense like a lot of teams in that position would do, and thus, bringing back the old saying, prevent defenses prevent you from winning. For Stanford, they didn't play prevent. They went right after the USC quarterback, and it paid off, stopping USC dead in their tracks and holding the Trojans to a mere 2 touchdowns. That explosive offense, and Stanford made them look ordinary. So big props to the Stanford Cardinal, and I tell you what, I don't know how far they're going to go this year, but they look like one heck of a squad. Definitely one of the more underrated teams in college football. Stanford Cardinal, they're my team of the week. Now, nominations for Disgrace of the week. The teams that really stunk up the field, the Arkansas Razorbacks get a nomination. And I know that teams that generally play Alabama are going to lose and lose huge. That's going to happen. But it's one thing to lose big, and it's another thing to lose 52-0 and in the process just flat out quit. Even Tyler Wilson, who didn't play the game but is a quarterback for the Razorbacks, after the game said that the team quit, and that's not going to happen on his watch anymore. We'll have to wait and see. And John L. Smith, that guy is not going to last as Arkansas head coach. There's just no way. He's too jolly happy, too nice. He doesn't get the most out of his players. And you could tell in that Bama-Arkansas game when it was like 38-0, you could tell that Arkansas just basically threw in the towel. They might have thrown in the towel earlier than that, but the Razorbacks right now are not showing any heart at all, and they've lost 2 so far. They could end up with a 6th loss season. Hard to believe. for a team that had such high preseason hopes, and right now their hopes are getting flushed down the toilet. So there's a nominee there. Another nominee for Disgrace of the Week, Virginia Tech. The Hokies, who usually put pretty good teams on the field, well, they got walloped by Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's unranked, and Pittsburgh already this season lost at home to a 1AA program in Youngstown State, yet the Panthers were able to absolutely annihilate Virginia Tech. What happened to the Hokies? But they don't get my disgraceful team of the week. They're just a nominee. The disgrace of the week goes to the Colorado Buffaloes. Colorado may not win a game for the entire season. The former Big 12 member and current Pac-12 member, boy, they're making that conference look good. How about losing to Fresno State, giving up 69 points in the process? At halftime, the score was 55-7. Colorado's already lost to a bad Colorado State team, lost to a 1AA team at home in Sacramento State. The Buffs are 0-3. And sinking more into the quicksand. John Embry, who played at Colorado, played for the Redskins, now is head coach there, and they could very well go 0-12. I don't see a team on their schedule that they could possibly beat. Their upcoming opponent will be Washington State and that pass-happy offense of Mike Leach. Good luck to the Buffaloes. They're going to need more than luck. They're going to need a miracle just to win one game. Colorado Buffaloes, I'm telling you what, the Big 12 does not miss you. Well, they might miss you in one sense. The fact that the Big 12 team now can't count on an automatic win because you're not on the schedule anymore. So, Colorado, congratulations. You earned my disgraceful team of the week. Now, let's go into the picks. Okay, last week. It was an improvement, but still a rough week for yours truly. And it was a rough week for this guy, too, the coin. Last week, we picked 12 games, won 4, and lost 8 apiece. So, for the year, yeah, I am still doing bad. 5-18. That's my record, 5-18, while the coin is barely above 500 for the year at 12-11. It still maintains a 7-game lead over me. So, still got 11 weeks to go of the picks. Trying to make up some ground. Let's hope it starts now. We're going to begin with the Thursday game, BYU at Boise State. BYU losing to Utah a week ago. Had a chance, but missed a couple of field goals, and their offense did not look very good at all. Playing on the road on the Blue Smurf field, I think Boise State's defense, not necessarily their offense, will make the difference in this one. Give me Boise minus a 7.5. Coin lands on heads, it likes the favorite. Tails, it goes with the underdog. And the coin is going to go with the underdog, which is BYU. A Friday night game, Baylor at Louisiana Monroe, who's getting a lot of attention lately. Monroe beat Arkansas 2 weeks ago, lost in overtime this past week to Auburn. Baylor struggled a little bit in their game against Sam Houston State, but had a strong second half. I think Baylor's offense will be too much for Monroe. Even though the game's at Monroe, I look for Baylor to play a much better game this week than they did last week. I look for them to cover that 7.5 points. So give me Baylor, and the coin is going to go with Louisiana Monroe. Now, all Saturday games. Game of the week, perhaps, is in Tallahassee. Florida State hosting Clemson. Last year, the Tigers beat the Seminoles. But remember, Florida State was banged up entering that game after the loss to Oklahoma. And in that game, E.J. Manuel, the Florida State quarterback, did not play. He's healthy. Florida State's healthy. The game's in Tallahassee. Look for Florida State to get the best of Clemson. So give me the Seminoles minus the 14, and the coin is going to go with Clemson. Wow, 3 disagreements already. And then Notre Dame. They will host Michigan. Fighting Irish talked about that good start. Michigan, they've already lost 1 game, but there's a lot of teams are going to lose to Alabama this year. In fact, almost every one of them will, and that's Michigan's only loss so far. The last 2 games between these 2 teams have been close. Denard Robinson has played big in both of those matchups. I think you'll have a big game. I don't know if Michigan's going to win, but considering the recent closeness of this rivalry, 5.5 might be too much for me. So give me Michigan plus the 5.5, and the coin is going to take Michigan as well. Missouri at South Carolina. We don't know the status of either quarterback entering this one. James Franklin, we don't know if he's going to play for Mizzou. We don't know if Connor Shaw is going to play for South Carolina. The running games, I think, for both teams will be good, and considering that, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I think 10 points might be a little too heavy to go on South Carolina's side, so give me Mizzou plus the 10, and the coin is going to take Missouri. And then Rutgers at Arkansas. Don't know what the status of Tyler Wilson is, the Arkansas quarterback, but I like what Rutgers has done so far. They played pretty good defense, and they had a nice fourth quarter in their win on the road last week at South Florida. Arkansas, I don't know how much confidence, if any, they have entering this game, and Rutgers is playing better than I thought, so give me Rutgers plus the 7, and the coin is going to take Rutgers. LSU at Auburn. The Tigers are simply on a whole nother level than Auburn. Not really much of a diagnosis for this one. Give me LSU minus the 20.5, and the coin is going to take LSU too. Miami is at Georgia Tech. Mentioned how good the Ramblin' Wreck have looked in recently. Last week, very impressive against Virginia, knocking them into the losing column for the first time this season. Miami, I don't like what I've seen from them the past couple of weeks. Last week, played a 1AA team. They won, but didn't look good in doing it. This game's in Atlanta. Georgia Tech should run all over Miami. Give me Georgia Tech minus 14.5. The coin is going to take Georgia Tech too. And then TCU hosting Virginia. The Horned Frogs, they should have been able to blow Kansas out, turn the ball over in Kansas territory too many times. TCU won, but didn't look great in the process. I think they've come back with a much stronger performance. Virginia, I think they're pretty beaten up after losing big last week to Georgia Tech. So give me TCU at home minus the 17.5 points, and the coin is going to take TCU as well. Northern Illinois at home against Kansas. James Sims looks like he'll be back for the Jayhawks. Had to serve that 3-game suspension, so he'll see action for the first time in 2012, it would appear. But Northern Illinois gave Kansas all they wanted last year in Lawrence, losing to the Hawks by just 3 points. This game's in Northern Illinois, and for Kansas, I don't know offensively, besides James Sims, what they're going to bring to the table. So give me Northern Illinois minus the 9 points, and the coin is going to take Kansas. Then a couple of Pac-12 games to close out the show. UCLA at home against Oregon State. A couple of unbeaten teams. UCLA 3-0. Oregon State's played just 1 game so far this year, but they look pretty good in doing it as they upset Wisconsin. I don't know how Oregon State's offense is going to look, but I think the defense will give UCLA some fits. I think UCLA wins, but 11.5 points against the good Oregon State defense is too much. So give me the Beavers plus the 11.5, and the coin is going to take Oregon State as well. And then finally, Arizona is at Oregon. Rich Rodriguez's offense has been on fire. And of course, Oregon, you know their offense is always going to be good. This point spread is way too high for me. I think Oregon wins. Even though the game's in Eugene, Oregon, 23.5 points. That's too rich for my taste. I think Arizona's offense will keep it within that 23.5 point margin. Give me Arizona plus the 23.5, and the coin will take Oregon. So those are my picks. What about yours? We'll recap my picks on next week's show, and don't forget the OU Kansas State postgame show will be late Saturday night, September 22nd. So long for now.